The series behind 32 points from C.J. McCollum, his most in a playoff game since 2020. Good for him. Jonathan Kuminga had 19 points off the bench. The Knicks had 6 players in double figures, led by Brunson's 29, but unfortunately that wasn't enough. Here's C.J. McCollum after the game, a good friend of the show.
New York City villain. How does it feel?
No villain, man. I'm just here to compete at the highest level. We know it's not a series until you get one on the road, and we got one. So now it's showtime when we get back to the crib. I got to make my free throws. I'll get in the gym on Wednesday and make sure I tighten up, and we'll be ready to go in the A like we're supposed to be.
CJ, I saw you say to your guys at the end of this game, it's what I do. It's what I told you. You talked to me before this game about your playoff experience and how you know it can change on any possession. What did you, we don't need to talk about those free throws. What did you learn about this team and your group's heart tonight?
No, we're tough. We're a tough group. We're young, but we're gaining experience by the day. We compete at a high level. We got great size, and we didn't play our best basketball tonight, but we gave ourselves a puncher's chance, and we did enough to win. And now it's back to the drawing board, tighten up some things, tighten up some screws, and make sure we're ready to go.
You said now we head back to the A. How does this group feel now going back to Atlanta with serious momentum?
Oh, we can't wait.
Can't wait to see you get on the floor. Congratulations, CJ.
Yes, sir.
Ooh. The Atlanta Hawks, even the series, stealing a win in the Garden against the New York Knicks in Game 2, and I absolutely love it. C.J. McCollum there with some words. It's great to see him getting a game that they needed from C.J. McCollum. Rudy, you're laughing.
No.
How are you feeling about this? Because the end of that game was interesting, too. Thoughts?
It was. I mean, it's playoff basketball, man. You know, Knicks had a chance, a little bit of mismanagement. They had a timeout, right? I don't think that's a shot they wanted at the end of the game, but that's a shot they got, and they could have made that, but they didn't. But even more than that, I mean, we saw the Knicks break down. They broke down at the end of the game. They've had a problem with that all season, but, you know, on this stage, you wouldn't expect them to break down like that. You know, as far as defense, you know, you usually see Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a guy that played excellent defense on Brunson at the end of the game, the guy we said was the most improved player. I mean, it's just, you know, the stars really shine tonight. You know, Brunson, even though he had that turnover, had a really good game and kept the team in it. But, you know, this is just classic playoff basketball.
There's that final play right there.
And I don't think anybody in the Garden liked that shot, but, you know, that's just the Garden for you. But, you know, obviously, this was a good game, and it was fun to watch.
I mean, DeMar, IT, how big is this for the Hawks, though, considering now they stole one in the Garden, now they get to head back home? This completely changes the narrative of this series.
Yeah, when you go on the road, your job is always try to steal one. If you steal one going back home, you got some great momentum. They did their job. It was a tough game. They fought to the end. They went on that run at the end. CJ came through big for them. Like he said, you know, in the way he said after the game, he got to make his free throws. But, you know, that was a big win for him, man. They pulled that through. And the Rudy point, you got to get JB the ball in that situation. Either call the timeout or get JB the ball. Let him make something happen. But, you know, Atlanta did their job. You know, it's gonna be a hell of a game 3 to watch.
Yeah, the Knicks had 6 players in double digits. Still didn't win. Home game. A lot of us were expecting to see the Knicks get the W tonight. Let's be honest with you. IT, you're the Knicks now. What do you do to adjust? What do you do heading back to Atlanta now?
It's tough because these games hurt, especially when you lose one on the road. I mean, at home, where you feel like you're supposed to win. They were in control of the game the whole game, except the last minute and a half of the game, and these will change the whole series. I think DeMar said it right early on. The series doesn't start till the road team gets a win. Now you got Atlanta going back to Atlanta. Don't let them get game 3. Now they're up 2-1, and the whole series has changed. And that's the only thing I'm worried about with the Knicks. Like, when they hit some adversity throughout the season, they didn't really respond well. And this is one of those games where they got to respond well to hopefully win this series. And if they don't, Atlanta could sneak this series for sure.
I mean, where would you say that leadership needs to come from in New York? Rudy, DeMar, who needs to step up? Who needs to shift the energy?
Well, I mean, you know, they had every chance to win this game. So I think there's more of the same. I think the lacks of their focus at the end of the game, I'm not sure what that is. They depend on Brunson a lot to get them out of things. I think everybody else kind of has to pick up their play. But you know, like I said, they had every chance to win this game. CJ missed those 2 foul shots. They had a chance at the end of the game to win the game also. So, like, I don't know, like, I can't pinpoint who needs to say what or do what, but I do know that Atlanta now has momentum going back home. And that's the last thing you want from a team that you're supposed to handle at home.
Has this changed your confidence in either of these two teams? Has this confirmed anything that you already think about these two teams? Or is this just simply playoff basketball happening before our eyes, and you don't know what's to come next?
I think this is more of just like if you let the foot off the gas, especially a team like the Knicks that are, you know, supposed to be a favorite to win the championship this year. If you let the foot off the gas, this is what happens. You know, everybody's here for a reason. This is playoff basketball. Everybody's capable. CJ came out and had a hell of a game. Played, you know, Nikhil played great defense, and if you take the foot off the gas, people are going to take advantage of it, and that's what happened tonight.
I'm excited to see CJ McCollum at home put on a show and see how that matchup goes. I think this actually might be one of the most interesting matchups.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen in this lineup. All right, we're going to listen to some stuff right now. In my ear, we got something coming. Take a look at this, and we'll chime in about it in a second. Stay with us.
I feel like today kind of encapsulated a lot about this team and the resilience that they've shown all season. Just how do you feel like that sort of paid off tonight?
Yeah, I think that's a great word to describe, you know, the night for us. And New York was dialed in and, you know, knocked us back at the beginning of the game. I didn't think we weren't, you know, we were competing. We just needed to continue to raise our level, and you know the guys did that. I just thought the way they fought and competed throughout the whole game, and then obviously were able to, you know, make some plays, you know, and late.
Quin, you did say job coming to you on offense, but also on defense in the second half. It seemed like that intensity, that energy sparked a lot of the runs.
Yeah, he made some plays offensively that were great, but you know, I think you could just feel, you know, the way he competed on the defensive end, and you know that it was a huge lift for us. Just his physicality, you know, the way he defended the ball, the way he got to the glass, guarded Towns at times, and as I said, and as you said, I think, you know, on the offensive end, you know, got us a few big buckets too.
Talked about the playmaking, and I know threes are a big part of your guys' game, but you guys were 1 for 12 in the second half and still were able to get to the basket. What did you like about the way they were aggressive?
Yeah, you know, the things I really liked CJ's leadership as much as the shot making. I thought, you know, Nikhil and JJ, you know, their recognition of how we were playing the game offensively, you know, in their selflessness in those situations. And then, you know, when they needed to make plays, they made plays too. But, you know, as I said, CJ's leadership was really good with the ball in his hands. And as you mentioned, you know, hopefully we can shoot better. But, you know, to win a game, you know, when you don't shoot well, sometimes, you know, is more gratifying than the other.
The way CJ has been leading in this type of environment, is this what you envisioned from him when he joined the team?
You know, it's something that we've talked about really over the course of the last couple of months. You know, I've said it to him, and it's a different type of leadership in my mind than he's had at other times in his career. Because he's got to find a balance of, you know, of communicating and talking to other guys and thinking about everybody, but still not losing. You know, we don't want him to lose his aggressiveness, you know, scoring the basketball. So sometimes it's hard to balance those two things, and it helps when, you know, I mentioned JJ and Nikhil. I thought both those guys, you know, are able to feel the game, and you know, that's kind of who they've been, those three guys kind of supporting each other at various times. And, you know, and then we got some big plays from other guys. I think, you know, everybody from Tony Bradley, you know, when Mo went down, I thought Corey and Gabe both, you know, off the bench, sparked runs, two guys that are just really competitive and good basketball players. So it's, you know, it was a team win. You know, you say that, but it's what it was.
Going back to CJ for a second, when you guys get him, I think people were probably figuring, well, you know, last year of his contract, all these other aspects that were not basketball aspects, but then he's a veteran presence, you've got a younger team. Did you expect more of an impact from the presence aspect of it than maybe the scoring? Did you think you would see this kind of scoring?
Yeah, I felt like we needed both. You know, I've been in the West for a while. You know, I've watched him do that when he was in Portland. But again, you know, to your point, I think you can lead, you know, by how you play, and then you can lead, you know, with more communication and the things that, you know, he says to our team, even, you know, when we're not playing. I think his experience, and yeah, as I mentioned, I just think it's big that the guy came off the bench when he got here. You know, I think that says a lot about who he is, and, you know, in some ways, you know, that put him in a position, you know, to have immediate respect in a different way. When you watch him play and, you know, the things he does on the court offensively, you know, that's clear. But I think, again, you know, finding, you know, and wanting to set other people up, and then also the way he's defended, you do those things and you demonstrate leadership as much as anything.
To that point on the defense, they're well